In this session, we're going to cover some functions in the repair shop screen for maintenance. Now, these functions I'm about to show are not used too frequently in the program. There are specific reasons, and I'll explain why. But we're going to go to repair shop, go to new repair, work with our trusty test customer, and we're going to load a typical, say, Camry here. Start repair. And we're in. Now, the focus will be on this maintenance button here and maintenance grid. The differences between them, use cases, things like that. The reason why I said they're not used very frequently is that Direct Shop Elite comes from Identifix Direct Hit. Now, Direct Hit has a fantastic maintenance guide inside, so it is preferred in many ways. But there are some tools here to use, so I'm going to demonstrate them. We'll just say 120,000 miles, and we're going to click Maintenance. And what it's going to do is load up a guide using the OEM specifications for services. So let's say at 120,000 miles on a normal plan, we can check and uncheck various items. So we will, and you can see here it has two services. This one says without valve adjustment, and this one's with valve adjustment. So if we click without, then we might also need to add other items. So if we're doing some of these, just bear in mind they may be not priced here because they may be something that's set already in your service items. But some things are going to come from the catalog. So if I replace the spark plugs, it'll also go look for the spark plugs. If I replace the air filter, let's see, look for that, and so on. And then if I need inspections, I can use those here. So I'll just click on a couple. And all these come straight from the OEM's own phrasing. You hit add to repair, it processes and then does kind of like a package. So it's looking for spark plugs. Let's just say there are some NGK iridiums. Okay, and there's my air filter. Normally I would have this one, don't have it today, so we'll go with this Wix. Okay, so what we can see here is the rest is going to come in from the service line, which may or may not be accurate because you have to have this service item built and you have to have the certain labor rate that you want. This is specifically for maintenance services. Um, and then you have to have the inspection line, which in this case I've made the inspection free, since we the shop I've made up have elected to do all the basic inspections that like say a dealership might charge out the wazoo for. We'll just make as part of our service. Still, we are at $865 due to the fact that there's 5.2 hours worth of work in the 120,000 mile service. Now, the reality of the shops that I've been to is that that's not how it works. How it works for them is they will simply go in and pull up the packages that suit them or the catalog lookups that they need and work out a price. And it's probably a lot less than this. But if you want to use an OEM exact, dealership exact measurement for these things, it definitely is available. All right, so that's maintenance. Now let's talk about maintenance grid. Maintenance grid's a little bit different in that it's not really about prices. It's more of an icebreaker. And this is again where Direct Hit, I think, has the advantage because it's a very nice visual. But let's just say we're going to get one for the client here. And I've selected 120,000 miles. This, by the way, just to kind of bring this home, earlier in the shop control setup, I mentioned that there's these above and below mileage sections. I'm actually going to exit, pause the screen, and show you exactly what I meant. So give me one moment. Okay, I've just saved that as a quote, going into system files, shop controls. to remember where I'm at. Okay, miscellaneous, schedule preventive maintenance, mileage range. This is where those are set. So mileage above, mileage below. That's where these numbers come into account. So I'm going to return back to the RO. We are right back where we were. There's that above and below section here. So the purpose of this, just to see it in action, is if I'm above, and I can't go above where the OEM cuts off their book, 120,000 mile. This is another excuse to use direct hit, because direct hit roughly doubles this number. I think it's up to 240 or 250,000 miles of services by using an extrapolation of time and distance. So this one's more basic, but let's say we want to go below selected mileage. If we add more, then they should auto-populate here. Here we go, 105, 112, 120. So obviously the 120 is a major service, no doubt, but if you had someone that was kind of straddling a certain mileage range, you can reach above and below and just see which one they should do. All right, so the idea of these, I'm just going to print this out to PDF real quick. Okay, looks like this on paper, and we can see we would expect to print this out for a would-be client just to see what services are recommended for a certain time. No prices though, it's not about that. That's what the other one is all about. So those are the two maintenance functions built in. Let's talk about how a more practical application. Now, to point out something here, the spark plug's 2.3 hours. That is straight out of the catalog, so that is accurate. The air filter replacement looks like it wasn't even planned. Maybe it's just 1 second in. Who knows? But there's nothing there. So if we wanted to charge for it, we should double check that in the catalog. But maybe we don't have to. Spark plugs, filters, ball joints, inspections, whatever we're doing. This service, though, the kind of question is what does the 5.2 hours include? And to that end, of course, that's where we bring up these kinds of grids and the other grid you saw. But mostly it's just doing coolant, the other items. And what I noticed is that we might be charging. We don't charge for the air filter because it was part of the big service. Spark plugs, however, might have been, so we might be double charging. This is what I kind of dislike about how the OEM sets things up. Sometimes they can double dip. So just watch out for that. It certainly may be the case where the 5.2 hours includes the spark plugs, and that kind of looks like that by what I'm seeing by my eyes. So for instance, the meta move here, just to bring it together, might be to say includes and then include what it is, spark plugs, coolant flush, whatever you want to call it, and you can add in detail. And of course, don't forget right click and add all the extra detail. And to that end, I want to just stress the other move you might consider here is to build a package, and that package could include a large number of items like air filter, inspections of your choosing, spark plugs, and so on, and the package will run based on what you exclude or do not exclude. It will run precisely what is actually needed for the service using the catalog pricing or using pricing that you have deemed to be a normalized price for all vehicles. So in the end, you can still perform excellent service maintenance jobs, but you could do them under your decision of numbers, and rather than the OEM's 5.2 hours, which is may or may not be quite accurate. So okay, that'll do it up for the maintenance side of the program. You've got lots of options. I think that's the takeaway, and we'll go on to the next video. Thank you.